Hi guys, so now we know what democracy is, we want to understand how there are two main types of democracy. The first one is what's known as direct democracy. This describes a political system or circumstances where the people themselves make key political decisions. It flourished briefly, for example, in ancient Athens. However, of course, in ancient Athens you didn't have as many people as you do nowadays. The voting strength might have been actually below 10,000 people, but we still have examples of this in today's day and age. One example of this is referendums, and another example could be through things such as e-petitions, which is what we looked at in the previous lesson. So when we come to the use of referendums then, this is the key one that we want to understand when it comes to direct democracy. A referendum is a popular vote where the people are asked to determine an important political or constitutional issue directly. So, citizens determine a question of public importance. So, in some countries the result of a referendum is going to be binding on the government, in others it's not. In the UK, a referendum result is not binding on Parliament because Parliament remains sovereign. So they can actually turn things around even if a referendum would say yes or no to a particular question. Referendums always have either a yes or a no answer, otherwise the result would be indecisive. And normally only one question is posed, though in 1997 a referendum to decide whether Scotland should have devolved government did have two questions. It's important that the government determines whether a referendum is to be held and what the question might be. There are lots of checks for this. One question is generally posed. In California, they have something there called initiative. California, Colorado, Florida, Michigan, all of these states use initiatives. So a question is going to be put on a ballot paper. After this a certain number of signatures creates this initiative first of all. An example of this was in 2010 where there was an issue, the legalization of marijuana. This was set forth in an initiative, the referendum was created and the outcome was that it was rejected. In the UK we've had quite a few different referendums. You can see from 1975 up until the most recent one, at the time of recording this, don't know the outcome just yet. In Scotland, should Scotland be an independent country? That's the question that is being posed. But there are a number of different referendums that have been held, and you can see the voting turnouts for them. Over time we've seen lower turnouts, but this is just a selection of them. The benefits then, why would we want to use referendums? Well, the first thing, it's the most direct form of democracy. The people's views on a particular question are clearly indicated and there's no confusion. The next one, if the people have demonstrated their express consent, they're more likely to accept that decision. Nextly, referendums can prevent governments from making unpopular decisions when a no vote is delivered. There are occasions when the government and the parties in general are likely to fail to resolve any issue effectively. For example, in 1975, Labour government as well as Conservative opposition were divided on whether Britain should remain in the European community. And lastly, a referendum effectively entrenches, so makes deep in terms of where the changes will come, any of these constitutional changes. It protects those from attacks by future governments whose policies may only be short-term. So there's some of the benefits. The problems of referendum usage. Firstly, many issues may be too complex for the majority of people to be able to understand. For example, issues arising from proposed European Union treaties may well be too complex for popular consideration. Dangers of such situations is that the debate will be presented as few simple, emotional arguments, and the true detailed nature of the issues will be neglected. Secondly, referendum campaigns are expensive. They can cost a hell of a lot of money here, and governments, if they have a particular perspective, they may push a little bit more money into it. Then there's also the danger that people use the referendum as an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction of the government. And finally, it could be described as the danger of tyranny of the majority. They're effectively government by majority here. Minority that loses is not taken account of in any way. So that's that for this video.